So, welcome back to the weekly recap video. As always, this will be the longer one because I show everything, I explain everything. Only exception is Highcraft Mining, DGD, AMC, Beyond, and Bed Bath & Beyond because I already showed that in the meme video. Okay. As always, I'm using this method here. You always starting in the V&A, but as already explained, every stock can start at M, T, L, whatever. That's the art to find where you really are. So, just for the explanation, we're charting for V&A. Then you do your high low. Most of the time, from the high to the bottom of the high lays a 0.5 fib retracement from the absolute low to the peak. Then you're doing your A peak, then the same. 0.5 pullback from the absolute low or just a breakout retest of an important trend line. Then you go to your B. Then you're doing a 0.5 pullback from the low of A to the peak of B. A warning in the micro tracking, which I will explain after that, you don't have to do that. And on some stocks, you aren't doing that. So, then you're doing your C, your peak. After that, your lower peak, your lower high, and then you fall to your midpoint. The important part about these 2 points is the M can only start from a point which is lower than the start from the lower peak. Then you can add a trend line between the lows of B to your peak of M. And most of the time, maybe I can show some explanations later, you bounce on this line, you fall under it, you reject it, maybe you even break it, but you can't stay over it. And then the last time, you reject and fall to your T. And here again, the T is only starting when it's lower than the starting of M. And then you fall to your V&A again, the V&A of your previous A low. The important part about the difference between V&A and 0.5 pullbacks, the 0.5 pullbacks can bounce on the trend line or on the 0.5 fib, over it or under it. The V&A can't bounce over it or at it. There are no double buttons. It has to fall under it, even if it's only 1 cent. And then everything's starting again. Oh, A, B, C. And normally you can say that your next A should be around your T line, a little bit over it, under it, at it. The same for your B should be around your M line. Don't have to be, but most of the time it is. And if you look like this on, let's say, the weekly or daily, this is your big tracking. And then between these points, you also have the micro tracking with A, B, C, L, and D, and so on. Okay, then start with SPY. For first, the absolute biggest weekly outlook, as I'm always showing. From IPO till 2008, this was just your higher low. This whole thing. And the funny thing, you could even say that would be the alternative, that this was a complete ABC, this whole thing. Because you would have here your C, here a lower peak. And then it ended in a market crash. And it didn't die. So, for the next one, from 2009 till 2020, this is for the first tracking just your A, or this is just your higher low. It depends how deep we will go in the crash in the next one. So I'm kind of 50-50 here. So the next thing would be from 2020 till April 2025. That was just your B or just your A. And we are right now looking for the next peak, which could be C or just B. The important thing here is, I mean, I will also show that we could already peaked here. It could be. If not, we're still looking for a blow off top. That would be then our big C or B or big B. If not, so if this was the peak, the crash will start, but we won't crash down like this. We will go down, go up, down, up, down, up, down, till we get a real bounce. This will be big, will be your L. This might take 1-3 months. Then we get the next market crash. But we're still going up, down, up, down, up, till we will again go up. This would be then again, and so on and so on. The important part is, if this was C, first of all, it would be kinda the first C for SPY. The same for NASDAQ, same for Dow Jones, same for IWM. But if this was C, your target for the bottom is something around 200 or even lower, because it's a VNA. In my opinion, this would take at least 2 to 5 years. If this was a B, then the only thing we have to do is we take the bottom of our A, go to the whatever peak we get. If we already peaked, then it would be 686-ish. And we only have to do the 0.5, which is also at very low. So it would be at under 400. But here again, you would do your lower L, a lower peak, M, T, and then the 0.5. This wouldn't take 5 years. I would say 1 to 2 years. But in that case, you would just dust to this, high, low, and then you run to your C. But it will be a market crash, of course. Okay, then let's look for the small tracking, what we have done in the last weeks. So, because I think in the next weeks we could already very, very clearly see if this was the top. So, overall, that was not a bad week, because it was tracking perfectly, except this little thing here, which I think I showed in the first video. But overall, even if you're only looking for the wedge for SPY, there are 2 possibilities, and the very bearish third one. So for the bullish version, this whole thing is just your big A. This is your V, and this is your, no, this whole thing would just be a high low, because we're already too low for this to be higher low, because the higher low isn't ending under the lower low. So for the bullish version, this would be just A. And your next big one would B, and then C, and so on. So for the small tracking, because that's the only thing which interesting us here, this was your peak. For the bullish version, this was not the peak. So here is your lower high. It's higher than this one. You come down, lower low than this, come up again. We checked the upper wedge. perfect endpoint. You fall down under the start of M. So here the M is finished. And then you went up to your T. And then you fell down lower where we started. So for the bullish version, T is finished. This is our V. And what we done on Friday would have been already higher low. So for the bullish version, and if we look at Bitcoin, for example, same story. V, higher low. So for Bitcoin, for example, your next target, if we are not doing a big higher low, so if not we're doing something like this, okay, could still happen. Your next target for A is 107. The next target for B is 166. And then it's only the question, are you breaking this or not? I mean, okay, if you're already up here, you will break it, in my opinion. If you reject on Bitcoin, something around 102, if you reject here, then this here was your peak. And then this would mean, because Bitcoin should also be in a B fractal, and this would mean the top is in, this was the top, and your next target will be 40, 43-ish. And this thing here will take 4 years, like the last one. So for SPY, same thing. For the bullish version, this is your higher low right now. And your next target is something over this trend line here. Something over 682. So for the bullish tracking, you might get the little pullbacks, the A and Bs, but the thing is, we already saw that here and here. You don't get a big 0.5 pullbacks in the small tracking. So you should shoot out over this trend line. This would be just your small A. Here you will get the pullback. So let's say, don't know, 691 is your A. Or your, yeah, then you will just get a 0.5 pullback, and then you go. The shitty part would be, because A could also be here. And most likely it will be here, exactly at the trend line. So you will do something to this. This would be your A. At the same time, your little C, the little C of this one. And then you will do a 0.5 pullback here. And then you have the second chance to break it. And here comes the problem with tracking. Because for being bullish and for saying this wasn't the peak of all peaks, you have to break this. But I see a very good chance that the first try you're doing, you will reject here. Because just 0.5 pullback, and then you go to your B. But you can't know that. Because if you reject here, this could also be just a confirmation that this was your peak. And then your next target is downside. I mean, in that case, your next target is the lower wedge break here. So tricky. But for the bullish, you just break out your A somewhere in here. Break a retest B. This could happen next week, but it's a short week. But at least in the next 2 weeks. Or maybe because of this big drop, you just see a V out of it. a V like here. Boom, boom. Could absolutely happen. Bullish bearish inversion. Bullish bearish version would mean you get your A somewhere in here. You will reject. Do your 0.5 pullback. And on the second try, you break it. This could also be next week. For the bearish version, you reject here, but it's not a 0.5, and you knife. And the really bearish version is that this T is not finished. That this was just a little hump in the T, and on Monday you're finishing the wedge. And this would be your V, and let's put this away. After that, you're doing the high low. Yeah, I see that case is at least 40% we're doing that. And then, same thing again. Now, next target is breaking this or not. To what I'm tending to. I would see it this way. I'm 50-50 that we are jumping over it, and 50-50 that we're doing the long part. I don't really see that we knife on Monday. If so, okay. For confirmation lines, everything over 664, and we at least go to this trend line. Everything under 655, and we still not complete with the knife. I think that's good levels. Just one thing again. I already said that in the meme video, but maybe you didn't watch it. Because some are talking about the whole market is going down. And that's why this all is happening. And when the market is finished in December, January, everything will knife. So the whole market is going down. So there is absolutely no chance that memes, for example, go or you only have to play puts. Okay. So since October 27, Nasdaq, SPY, and so on is going down. Yeah. What did Coca-Cola do? It's absolutely not caring. What is PG doing? I mean, okay. No, it's just a normal pullback. That's not a knife. What is Dana Corporation doing? Since April, we're going up. SPY is going down here. IMAX, cinema company, is going up since 2020. It's not caring about the market crash. Sabra, whatever you call it. Up. Ventas, since 2020, up. Cisco, since 2002, up. Sanka, a solar panel company, since 2020, up. Welltower, since 2020, up. It's even in the last week, because that's a weekly chart, okay? Not the daily or the hour, that's a weekly chart, just up. Nestle, up. Shell, up. So this blatant sentence, I mean, I agree, maybe we already got the top, but saying that everything has to knife in a market crash is stupid. If so, the market would already have died 4 times. And everything goes to zero. It's stupid. And that's why always backtrack everyone who you are following to. Everyone. Because if I say everyone goes down, it in a market crash, yeah, it seems logical. Yeah, well then look at the whole market and you will see it's just a lie. The same biggest lie. Look at yourself up. SPY with all the crashes, and besides that, take gold. Because everyone is saying everyone runs to gold. Because that's the only safe place in a market crash. Yeah, the only problem is if you look at it, every time a SPY is crashing, gold is crashing too. That's not a safe haven. Everyone will say go into crypto. And I really can tell you, if the market is topped out, then crypto also, that's not a safe place. It just isn't. So, okay. Next one. So, Hycroft we already had in the other video. DGT2, Beyond 2, Course 2, Open. So, for our tracking for Open, we only have a bullish chart because I don't see an alternative yet. For Open, it's a quite easy chart. You had your peak. The interesting part is when I start tracking this with some friends. You see this here. We had still the tracking till at least, I don't know, 2-4 years further. But since 2 weeks, suddenly the TradingView deleted this part here, which is crazy. I don't know why. I mean, I could say tinfoil. They don't want to see this, but, that someone is seeing this, just because this part is showing this part here. I never saw this, that they are deleting this. So, maybe. So, for the tracking you had here, you see, lower high, midpoint T. Here's your V. Somewhere in here is your high low. So let's look, do we see it on the 1? Oh yeah. So this could be already a higher low. It has to be. No, it has to be a higher low. So, for what we already done, we already done our A, perfectly matching with the T. I mean, the M isn't really matching. I mean, I could say, okay, this should be M, but really, maybe then this would be a M and this would be a lower high. Could be. But the M would be really small. But it doesn't matter. In that case, you already did your A. Perfect. Breakout. Retest. We already did our B peak. And now the only question is, have we finished the B pullback? So for the bullish tracking, where's my A? Okay. A is gone. It ran away. So for the bullish tracking, this is the B pullback. Your 0.5 from the A low to the B peak is here. We came close, but in my opinion, not close enough. That's why I also have an alternative. But for the bullish tracking, this was your 0.5 bounce. This would be, right now, this isn't A anymore. This is just higher low because we are too low for this. But it would still work. So for this whole thing is just your higher low. And to say that, in comparison, it would be this. This would be just this. Only question is, are we repeating this here now too or not? That's the only question. But if this is your V and this is your high low, it should be upside from here on. Your next target is breaking 83, the all-time highs, or not, or rejecting it and go down. That's the only question. If this wasn't enough for a 0.5 pullback, then this was your T. It's not higher than the M, so it would be a really big T, but still working, and that would mean I would expect next week you should still come down to 420. To your 0.5, bounce here, over or under it, higher low, and then go. So for confirmation lines, of course, everything under 572. But this would be the red line. And for the upside, yeah, everything over 776. And the old is dead. Yeah. But it looks interesting. That's for sure. Okay. Next one. Unity. So. Also only a bullish chart. But in the short term, it should be bearish. For Unity, you have here your C, lower peak, midpoint, perfect T, V. This is your high low. And we already did a peak, like many others I will show you after that. And we are in the A pullback right now. So our A, same time our little C. We already did our lower peak, but we didn't finish the lower peak. Because for the lower peak you have to drop under 33. So in my opinion, you may be coming up here, but you won't go over 43. You will go down under this trend line, so under 32. You could get a bounce, come up again. This would be then your M, then lower again, T, and then you go to your price targets. 24 for the bounce on the 0.5, 22 for the bounce on the V&A. But, and I will show that on NEO too, for example, you don't have to do this. You can simply just do this. And your M and your T is in this candle. On the 1 minute or 5 or 10 or 30 minutes, you will see them, but it doesn't have to be that long. I only made it that so you see clearly the landmarks. Okay, so that's for Neo. For Unity. After the A pullback is finished, your next target is B, and that's at 108. So just wait. Hands off. Maybe if you want to play puts, yeah, but if not, hands off. Wait for 24, wait for 22. Okay, so Neo, because we talked about this. So this was the bullish chart, but with the drop, this is absolutely dead already. So we only have the bearish, which is right now just the main version. For Neo, for the big tracking. You see, as I said in the beginning, the IPO doesn't have to start from a V. It can start from an M, for example. This would be an M because it's perfectly aligning with your next B. So this hidden data here, you just have to imagine for yourselves. But this first thing is just our A. After that comes our big B. Why not higher low on this is A? Because this didn't drop under V and A. The A would have done that. This was just a higher low from A, from this one here. So this would be our big B. And right now we would be going into big C. I mean, even if this was A, B, or high low, your next target is still over this here, over 68. So what have we done? So here, like Unity, we already broke out of the trend line. We did our A peak here. Wait, what did I do right now? So yeah, we did our A peak, and we're in the A pullback. And here, you also, you made your little C. You already did your lower peak. This lower peak is already finished. You already did your M. Also, the M is already finished because you drop under the low. So, two ways. You go up. It doesn't have to go directly at the trend line, but this would be then your T. And then you go to your price target. 0.5 is at $5. V and A is at 4.38, which is a perfect breakout retest. And then higher low and go. And your next target is 16. I don't think we will get a massive bounce here. I think we very quickly just do this. Why? First of all, this is an head and shoulders. And second, because who cares about head and shoulders? Look at this whole thing here right now. And now, look what happened 2020. V, high low, breakout, A peak, head and shoulders, V and A. And to be exact, I think we are right now here. So your next move is this. Then you make your V. Then you do your high low. And this here is the next move. It looks perfect. It tracks perfect. Let's see what happens. Okay. Next one. Plug. Bullish and bearish. So weekly. So for plug, for the bullish version, you already in part 2. So that means you have here part 1 with invisible data, then C, lower high, midpoint T, V under invisible A, high low. First one finished. This whole thing since 2013 would just be our high low. And right now for plug, we already also did our A peak. Yeah, it's not over the trend line, but it still could be A, and we are in the A pullback. So our first line of defense is the 0.5, which we broke last week, Friday, which is okay. You can break the 0.5, but not too low. So if we break under 140, then the 0.5 isn't it anymore. But for the bullish part, this now would be a V. This would be already your higher low. Next thing would be upside. Everything over $3, and there's no alternative anymore. And your next target is 31 for your B. If we're still dropping next week, your last line, that's not a FIP, that's VLA. your last line is $1 because it's the A of the whole move here. And then you have to go under it. You can't bounce over it. You have to go under it, high, low, and then you go. If you even break this, then your 87 is your run line, and the alternative would take place. And that would mean that the higher low isn't finished. And the last peak wasn't A, it was T. And that would mean you have to go at least under 69 cents. You have to be higher than the all-time low because this is higher low, but somewhere in this range. Then you look for your V&A, which is here. Yeah, no, it would be already this one here. So in that case, you don't even have this one. You just have to say, okay, under this, but over this. So somewhere in here, you wait for the V, then you wait for the confirmation. That would be the higher low. And then your next target would be 5, and then 31 still. Let's see. I would say 50-50 for both cases. There is just nothing confirming either way. Okay, next one, FCEL. Only one chart because I don't really have a real alternative yet. So it's way too big. So here the bull chart. And as always, you come from your C, you go to your L, midpoint, and M is only finished here, and this whole thing is your T. I mean, here it looked like it could be just already the higher low, and your T would have been here, but we dropped under it. So this is your T. So if you're taking my rules 1-to-1, this would be price target for A at 800, and this would be price target for B at 19,000. Won't happen. You can come up here, but not without a split, because splits aren't changing the fractal, but the numbers here. So if we're not going up here, we most likely will reject this trend line here, and the death spiral continues. But this is still between $500 and $600. So what are we looking for? Same thing as Neo and then as Unity. And we also in the pullback of A. But the difference between this and Plug, Neo, and Unity is this is finished. Because here you have your A, which is your little C also. Lower high, perfect midpoint. Here the example from the intro, the B and M line. You bounced on it, you fell under it, you tried to come up, but the last time you touched it, it was your last reject, and you went down. That's why the B and M line is really helping. This was your T, lower where the M started, and you went to a V and A. You had a 0.5 here, this one, but we clearly broke it. But here's our V and A. So, you could also say that this was your A low, but even that, you broke it. So this right now is a perfect, also, it's a perfect, this trend line is I think 4 years old, isn't it? Yeah, 4 years, same like by the other ones. So, perfect, breakout, retest. And V and A. Technically, everything is finished with this here. The only thing which still could occur is we're doing a high low. Something like this. all in all, this thing is finished. In my opinion, you could already get very bullish if you break 772. If you go over $8-9, that's your confirmation. And your next target is 160 for B. If you, on whatever reason, you're still dropping and we go under $5, then I have to make an alt. But right now, I don't have one. And for, it looks like, do you see this here? Okay, wait. Remember this chart here. T, triangle, breakout. You come from your T, triangle. This is your high low. This is your breakout. This is your same A. And we would be here right now. This is our run to B. So for B, it's a massive B. If we're repeating this, our next chat isn't taking us to the peak. But you should take profit here because the peak is only a little bit higher. So I would imagine if we're doing this, I mean, we could even try this. Let's take bar pattern. And it would look like this. Just way bigger. Yeah, something like this. And your B peak would be here. I mean, I'm not saying this will take so long because this would be more than 2 years, but it could. It really could. And here you see it. This is your trend line. So if there is not a split, this is a rejection line and you will go down again. And that's why I'm saying if you come here somewhere in this range, so somewhere between 100 and 150, go out. Maybe we're not doing the B pullback and we go up here. Okay, then you miss this. But if not, especially for contracts, this will kill you. For no reason. Because if you're getting into contracts here, take profit here. Don't play this. Okay, next one is BLNK. Also only one chart because I don't have an alternative yet. We are already in the third part because this here is your first one. This is your second one. And for the third one, which is the only thing which is important is, are you breaking this peak or not? If not, death spiral again. And here the same, like Neo, like FCEL, like Plug, like Unity. You broke out of your trend line. You did your A. You're in the A pullback. Only thing here, this is your 0.5 here. So for the bullish tracking, this was your V. You're already very low under it, but could still work. The only thing you will do higher low, you are not allowed to touch or break 121 again. Everything over 170 is bullish. And then your next target is 26 for your B. If you're still going down, then the same like FCEL, you will go, no, yeah, you will go to your V&A, which is this $1. Then higher low, same tracking. And the thing is, also here, which is quite interesting. You would be here, 2020, this section here. And again, to show what would happen here next, would be this. So, 1 hour V under A. I mean, it's already crazy. This would be your next movement. Here also, I mean, this was, how long did this take here? From here to here, it took 133 days. And you're getting slower. I would take profit in between, I mean, yeah, or I would take profit in 6 and 8. Because this could take some time, but let's see. But this should be the move you get. Okay, next one is AI, except the bull version is dead. But the bear version is just the main version right now. Here also, you are in your third section right now, because this is the first one and this is the second one. The only thing is, we don't have any lines anymore. So we broke V and we broke 0.5. We already broke V and A. So it's a waiting game. This could be a V, but as I'm always saying, wait for the hello. And if you have the confirmation, for this the confirmation could be 70.51. Only problem with this is that the 70.51 could be just your high low. So for me, absolute confirmation would be 20. If you break 20, your next target is 30, then 36 for your B. And then the only question is, are you breaking the last peak? And you're very bullish? I mean, what is this? This is just a W pattern. Nothing more. So if this is breaking out here, in my opinion, you go up here. And then, and that's the stupid part, you could just say you treat this chart as a symmetry play, where you just say you take the bars pattern till the middle, flip them, and no, sorry, take the bars pattern and now flip them. So, and this would be your chart. And all in all, is that no, it's not a flipped head and shoulders, but it's a W. Or it's an M, but just flipped, you know? Let's see, that looks very interesting. But this should be our next move. Okay. Next one, grab. Only one chart, but I really have to say I get a little bit bored with this. And I will get a little bit, not worried, but there's just no money to be made here, in my opinion. but I will still track it. So you come from your C, perfect lower peak, midpoint TB. This whole thing is just your high low. You did already your A peak, perfectly aligned with your T, and you are in the A pullback. The same thing like Unity, Neo, FCEL, and BLNK. The 0.5, where's the 0.5? The 0.5 is here. Yeah, that's the problem. I think we still have. Okay, your next chance would be a bounce at 448. But this is just a little A only from this. I still think you have to come down to 380. Bounce here and go. So I would still see downside. I mean, you could, of course, come up here. That's your T then, and then you do it. It's really boring right now for this. After the bounce, your target is 10. There is just nothing to say about this till now. Okay. Next one, SAVA. Our 100% risk play. This time the long story. Okay. Why I am even looking at this? Because it's biopharma company, blah, 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 blah. The thing which makes this interesting is the gaps down. That's what is making this interesting. Why? Because you gap down doing bullshit. You gap up. You gap down doing bullshit. Fill the gap. Gap down, bullshit, fill the gap. Gap down, doing bullshit, fill the gap. Always. And the interesting part is that these gap fills are always starting Friday, Monday. Well, and what did we do here? We did our V, our A with perfect pullback, our B with perfect pullback, C, lower peak, midpoint T, gap down. And what I'm looking for is this gap fill here. From $4 to 25. And for the bullish version, we are right now in our higher low. The next move should be gap fill. So what did we do? First of all, it was one of the few stocks which were green in this crash. Second, for the small tracking, this was your lower high, this was your mid peak, this was your T, this could be already your V. Or you still have to come down to your 0.5 because this whole thing is just higher low. So something around 237, then higher low, gap fill. If you're dropping still under this, your last chance is 2. And if you're gapping under this, you're going to all-time low, new one. Because if you're gapping, not holding here, you are in this candle here. And you will go down here. And this here will be your next 2, 4, 5, 6 months. So not this year. But I'm still, if you're doing that tracking, that we still getting this the next year. February, March, April. One last thing. If we suddenly see a massive run, not a gap, a massive run, and this run is getting slower at $6 to $5, somewhere in here, I would get out. Just because if you look at the daily, so here the gap starts and we stopped a little bit under it. And if we look at this here the gap starts and we little went over it. If you suddenly see a massive run upsides but rejecting $6 or $5, then we are exactly here. That's why. Just a little warning. If you're gapping up somewhere in here, I'm not worried. Then doing for like 1 day something, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because this gap will get filled. And the interesting part is, because I already played this, I played this here. I went into course. I mean, I was tracking this back then already for this year, so I was a little bit early. I really have to agree. But the interesting part is here. On a Friday, we got the news that the CEO was spending $1 million and buying shares. Well, this was November 20. Again. So let's see what happens next week. Will be interesting. Okay. So much for SAVA. Now for GNS. So for GNS, bull version of course. Meme stock, always bull version. No alternative, because my alternative would be delist and it's over, which could be, but I don't have to show that. So for GNS, C, lower high, midpoint T, again the same like Neo, plug, FCEL, BLNK. We already got our A peak, and this is also our little C peak. Here's our lower high. This little fake candle here is our midpoint. Here I broke for once my rules, where I said, okay, this could be the bounce, but it wasn't V&A, so don't break the rules. And if you go lower, this is our T peak. We already dropped under it, so we are under V&A. So for bullish tracking, the only thing we still have to do is higher, which we could already have done. Just to say this, let's look on the 30-minute. Maybe. Maybe we still have to do something like this. But this looks finished. Just one thing, if he's still breaking this. I am the opinion this is A. A colleague of me, which is also using this method, is saying this is A. Okay, could be. So then your V under A is at 47. Could be. What I really don't want to break, and which we agree on, is 34, because then it's done. Just one thing of, I'm always saying waiting for the higher low. Could be maybe a little bit late here, just because you're already always doing your V, high low, and then you're instantly running to your C. Here's the same, here the same. Here was a big high low, but after that you also run instantly. Here V, high low, run. Careful. And the thing is, it's only a share play. There is an option chain, and if you followed some only share plays, they have a quite big possibility that they are running 5, 6, 8,000% in one day. I don't know the name anymore of the last one, but this was also a 9,000% run, and we are looking for something like this, and this would be crazy. But no option chain. Who knows? Okay. Next one, same idea. FFAI. Here the bullish chart. Here also for the rules 1-to-1, 153 would be your A, 5,000 would be your B. Won't happen. not without a split. If there's no split occurring, this here is your C. And you won't break this peak. You will come up here, reject, and the death spiral continues. For what we have done, yep, here we only did the high low, but it should be finished. So for the bullish part, this was your V. Hello, maybe already really finished. And the same like GNS. That's one of the plays where you say, if you wait for confirmation, it could be already too late. Risk play. For bullish levels, everything over 144 is bullish, but could be already too late. And everything under 87, and it's over. Let's see. Okay, last one. Bull. So this was the only stock I had to change because I tracked it like this as first, and this would have been only this would be the second, but with breaking under here, no. So for this is just one thing. Yeah, and we don't have any lines anymore. We don't have 0.5s, we don't have V under A. So for the short term, as already said last week here, don't touch it till you have confirmation that the high low is finished. Yeah, and you see, this wasn't a V. So we are still waiting. Maybe this is the V. So wait for confirmation that the higher low is holding. Everything over 12, bullish. And then your next target is A or B. But just saying, we have nothing under here. Nothing. So this still could just do some stupid thing like going to 5, for example. Just hands off till we have confirmation for the higher low. Otherwise, there's nothing to say here. Okay. So I didn't forget anything, I think. No. Okay. So if you have questions, write it into the comments. If you have wishes for other stocks, the same. I think this wasn't too long today. Yeah, 1 hour. If you liked it, you can give me a like. And let's see if we rip or market crash next week again. See ya.